Hey guys, welcome to my channel, PTE Mate. This is your first session and mine as well on PT speaking tips. And in this video, I'll be talking about the read aloud question type. Now, this is one of the easiest questions on the test because primarily you're just reading text off a screen. But then again, sometimes people find it a little difficult, and there could be so many reasons for that. I will be discussing a few of them with you guys today. And yeah, so let's get into the details, yeah? So how exactly are you scored in this type? There are two factors that they're testing you on. One of them is speaking, obviously, but at the same time, they're testing your reading as well. The next thing is the content. Obviously, it's very important, and you need to make sure that you don't replace any words, you don't omit any words, or insert new words that you like. All right, let's see what I mean by that. Now, let's look at a very simple sentence. This car is very expensive, and hence I cannot afford it. Right, so I've changed this to, this car is very expensive, and hence we cannot afford it. So what I've done is I've changed the I to we, and I've replaced that one word. So for every replacement you make, you lose 1 point. Right, now I'm gonna eat that word up. This car is very expensive and hence cannot afford it. So what I've done here is that I've gotten rid of the I and I've just read the sentence without it. So for every deletion or omission that I make, I'll lose 1 point. This time, I'm going to add a word that never existed in the first place. So this car is very expensive and hence I certainly cannot afford it. Now what I've done is I've added certainly. It wasn't present in the original sentence, but I've added it anyway. So for every new word that I add, I'll lose 1 point. So overall, if you add 5 words, you lose 5 points, and that marks you 0 for the content. And if your content is 0, they do not even look at the other parameters. So you've got to be extremely careful here and make sure that you read only stuff that you see on the screen. Do not remove, do not replace, and do not add. All right, now let's look at the next. Pronunciation. Pronunciation is key to everything here on this test, and certainly you need to make sure that your pronunciation is bang on. Now, a lot of my friends did ask me if accent matters. Well, yes and no. Your accent needs to be as clear as possible. It does not need to be an American, a British, an Australian, a Canadian, or any other accent for that matter. Because, well, according to PTE, the system can recognize accents from a variety of different countries. But if your pronunciation is understandable by a native speaker, you're more likely to score higher marks than somebody who isn't. So even if you've got a Chinese accent and Indian accent, it doesn't matter. What matters is how clearly you can pronounce words, also how much your first language affects your speech now. Like, I know a lot of my friends who are bilingual don't speak English as a first language, always have this problem of pronouncing words as they would in their own language. So you've got to be very careful there. What you can do is practice a lot. Try talking to native speakers as much as you can. If you can't, then listen to English movies, English music. You can listen to the news that's read by a native speaker, primarily BBC. You can also practice using speech to text converters. I've got to warn you there that sometimes those softwares don't recognize the words correctly, and that might leave you frustrated. That's the last thing one would want when practicing for an exam like this. Oral fluency is the next thing. Well, it really comes with practice. Now, you could be reading sentences off a screen, or you could be describing an image, or anything else for that matter. You've got to be very careful that you do not make any false starts, you do not repeat sentences, you do not use a lot of filler words like and ahs and could be, maybe. Try not doing that. And that only comes with practice. Practice as much as you can before the test. A few tips that have helped me. One of them is obviously read aloud before the timer starts. So before your recording starts, before the mic opens for you to record into it, you get about 35 to 40 seconds, if I remember correctly. That is when you read that sentence aloud for meaning. Read the sentence as you would in a normal setting and try to focus on words that you might find it difficult to pronounce when the mic opens. Focus, repeat, try and even if you don't understand that word, even if you don't know what it means, pronounce it like you know it. The moment that mic opens, start speaking immediately. Because if you don't speak for more than 3 seconds, that mic stops recording and submits your answers completed. The next tip is read for meaning. So when you're reading something, do not read it because you have to. Obviously, you have to, but then again, try to understand what that sentence is trying to convey, the meaning the sentence is trying to convey. That will help you read the whole thing in a natural pace. Pausing at the right time is extremely important. Like, use punctuation marks to guide you as to where you should pause. Now, I'll run through an example in 2 slides from now, and you'll understand what I'm trying to say. Right, so how does one practice? I think reading books, newspapers, and articles online really helps because, well, that's what helped me. I read a lot, so what I did was a week before the exam, I started reading out loud when I was sitting in my room and read through all the sentences like really loud. And that surely helped me a lot in the test as well. Let's look at this sentence. Right, now I'm going to read it at a natural pace and slowly. There are many kinds of pond, but nearly all are small bodies of shallow, stagnant water in which plants with roots can grow. Water movement is slight and temperatures fluctuate widely. The wealth of plants ensures that during daylight hours, oxygen is plentiful. However, at night, when photosynthesis no longer takes place, oxygen supplies can fall very low. Notice the pauses. Let's go to the next slide. Right, so here you can see the red slashes, forward slashes, and I'm pausing at natural places. Like, at the same time, my speech is going up and down. Like, let's take the first bit, for example. There are many kinds of pond, but nearly all are small bodies of shallow, stagnant water in which plants with roots can grow. So as I'm going through the sentence, I'm pausing at the commas, and sometimes I also pause at words that are slightly different in meaning and slightly not in the same flow. As I'm about to complete the sentence, the tone of my voice changes a little bit. Like I say, in which plants with roots can grow. So you need to be as natural as possible, like you're talking to a mate of yours. Right, I hope these tips have been helpful. Please hit the like button, please subscribe to my channel, and also please comment if you want to know more, or if there are any questions that you have, or there are any other videos that you want to see. I will be discussing a lot of other question types as well very soon, so stay tuned. Thanks, guys.